to address some of these concerns, I think we have to work with the religious folks. We have to work with the traditional chiefs. We have to educate them about practices that say you must cut a girl, or practices that say you must iron the breast of a girl in order not to attract the men to the. Those are silly practices which I don't see any need for them. But you have to do it in a very diplomatic way, or else you're going to cause some cohesion within those communities. And when we're doing a survey last year, the two reasons why kids were not going to school in our communities were because they didn't have toilets. Secondly, they didn't have books. Thirdly and fourthly, which the third and the fourth reason would never change, was because they must go to the farm, and they must take care of the siblings of their guardians. So most of the kids we work with are orphans, so they have to take care of the babies of the guardians that they're staying with. And we are trying to address those issues. And the issue about toilet, yesterday was World Toilet Day, and over 2.5 billion people don't have a safe place to go. In India, we see girls being murdered because they have to travel for far off distances just to use the toilet in the open. And these are things that in the schools we work with, about 40 schools in the communities, none of them have a toilet. None. Open defecation was a huge problem, to such an extent that they would have to lock the classroom windows so that the smell doesn't get into the classroom. But kids still have to study in that same condition. And it's appalling because in 2000, my government made primary education free, but it's not free. Because when you make primary education free, then the government is indirectly shifting the burden to the parents. And by shifting the burden to the parents, what I'm talking about is the parents have to take care of the textbooks, have to buy uniforms. And the government completely abandoned their job of providing resources to schools, such as chalk, benches, textbooks to schools. These things are lacking in all the schools. Kids are sitting on the floor to study. Kids are sitting, about 8 of them, in one bench to write. And it's just, it's terrible. And, you know, since we started building toilets, it's amazing. We started building toilets in 2014. And before we started building the toilets in the schools, in 5 schools actually, 266 school days were lost a year. 266 school days were lost a year because kids would not come to school. Teachers would leave class at 10 in the morning to go use the toilet at the neighbor's place, and they go and never come back because the distance from where they're taking, relieving themselves back to school is about an hour. Kids are doing the same thing. But since we built the toilets, kids are not staying in school. Teachers are making their school notes in school. And I spoke with one of the head teachers, and she told me kids now get up in the morning at 7, rush to the school just to use the toilet at schools. Now they no longer use what they have in their houses. And now there's a lot of pressure. The kids are now pressurizing their parents to build them better toilets at their houses. And those are just things that we need to change. And our goal is to build 30 toilets by 2018. And we just hope that, something like a toilet should be a major priority for every child. A girl child should not risk his or her life going to the bushes because she's going to be sexually assaulted or raped. And I think that these are the priorities that, governments should, not just government, but civil society. I think what we are lacking in community is that we don't have strong civil societies. Then even if we have them, there's that freedom of expression is not there because they are suppressing them not to speak up. And I think that that's what is lacking in French-speaking countries. I was talking at the UN at the meeting, and there is no need having 100 partners. UNICEF, Plan International, Save the Children in Ghana, in Kenya, and we have just 2 NGOs in Niger. Niger has the highest fertility rate in the world. Many of their kids are out of school. Sexual reproductive health rights are completely non-existing, but we've forgotten about them. And coming to the issue about the Ebola crisis, I asked one of the ladies who was in charge of policy with the finance for development, how do you expect countries like Guinea, Sierra Leone, and Liberia to raise money within the countries? Because when you're talking about financing for development, some money is coming from outside, but also countries have to raise their own money within their country, within their own system. How do you expect countries that are just from war, Sudan, how do you expect them to raise that amount of money? She didn't have an answer. So I feel that, with the SDGs being universal and having countries like Canada, the US, and these big countries coming together, I feel that, there's a lot of work that we have to do. So, coming from, working in the area of education, I think that that's what I'm going to focus on. And I think that Canada has a critical role in providing funding to the Global Partnership for Education Fund that helps provide money to children living in conflict areas, because we have 65 million kids living in conflict areas, and most of them are not in school. And I think that with Canada's rule, with the new government, I think that they're going to increase the funding to send more kids to school. So thank you.